Captain's log, entry 402. The skies are pretty clear, and for the first time in months, I'm actually ahead of... Mayday, mayday, I'm losing altitude fast. Bracing for impact. I repeat, bracing for impact.
I woke to the smell of ozone and the silence of a dead world. My plane was destroyed. I need to find a way to survive, to find a way to contact home and escape this inhospitable place. Welcome to Minecraft. The ship has provided me with about 4 minutes of emergency grace, so I now need to speed through securing my area. There are some creepy sounds in the distance. I don't want to know what's gonna come and see me in the dark. Perfect. This dust barrier is at minimum 2 blocks tall. That's going to protect me from basic creatures, but now I should worry about what can climb. However, I am about to die of thirst. So, these are my emergency supplies. This is everything that I have got to start surviving on this planet. Checking my crash landing checklist, I can start to work through this to learn how not only to survive, but thrive here. In here, I can claim my first survival reward of a few purified water bottles. That really does quench the thirst. Ignoring my story for just a moment, this mod pack has got an easy route, which gives me access to respawns and a whole bunch of goodies, or a hard route, where I get nothing. I think you all know me pretty well by now. I am of course going to be choosing the hard route. In this world, there are no second chances. If I slip up once, the save file dies with me. It is forced hardcore and I am already on my 4th attempt. I'll pop down the oak sieve and I'll pop in the mesh, and if I send through some of the leftover dust that I have from the wall, I'm hoping to find a lot of bone meal. I'll give one to the checklist, and as a reward it'll give me a single piece of dirt. It's not much, but it is kind of life-changing. I'll pop it down outside, place a sapling on top and use some of my limited bone meal to accelerate its growth. I do need to be careful though. Stepping outside raises my body temperature, and then in turn makes me thirsty much quicker. Oh, luckily I had stowed away some phyto grow in the emergency supplies, which I can also use to accelerate growth. I'll chop down the bottom 2 logs, convert them into sticks and make myself a crook. This magic tool is going to guarantee that I get more saplings from the leaves than if I were to let them decay naturally. Only once have I got enough saplings, then will I chop the rest of the tree. 37 degrees and climbing fast. It is so hot out here. Once I'd cool down inside, I can then plant more saplings, but for now I can ignore the leaves because all I need is wood. Lots and lots of wood. Nighttime is coming fast, and I am still very tasty to any creature that can climb or jump walls. To make myself a bit safer, I am going to need a buttload of wooden slabs. With these, I will build a ledge around the top of the wall, and even around the front and back of my spaceship. You have got no idea how terrifying it sounds to have something walking around on the top of your ship. A story for another time. For now, I must work quick. The temperature outside is dropping. It is no longer too hot to be outside. That means the sun is about to set, and I am not ready. I think that is it. I think the perimeter is secure. Only time will tell if I have done a good job. If I haven't, I'm gonna be in a whole lot of trouble. They're here. That is a horrible creature. Please tell me you can't get in. Oh, I have been too panicked to notice before, but out in the distance, I can see some kind of civilization. Maybe there's someone who lives there who can help me get my ship airborne once again. Though the city is quite far, and a boiling planet and hundreds of hostiles kind of stand in the way. Something to work towards. Until then, I shall sift my dust and find a way to survive the first few days. My primary concern being the dwindling supply of food and water. Oh, and you know what would help me survive? You making sure you're subscribed. It'll help boost my long-range communications, and I may be able to contact home. There is a whole playlist of mod packs and games that I have beaten in one episode. You should check those out next. Okay, so I think I'm going to use some planks and sticks to make up a small batch of patterns. I'll use some to make a tinker station and some to make a part builder. It's time I get myself tooled up. I'll need a tool handle, a pickaxe head, a tool binding, an adze head, and an axe head. Another handle. Then as a reward I will claim a small iron axe head, and I'll start by assembling a wooden pickaxe. Then a wooden mattock, and then finally a hand axe using that iron axe head. Meaning by default it's got more durability and is a little bit magnetic. Now I'm going to have to consume 25% of my total food supply. And I'm down to only 6 bottles of water left. This is a little bit worrying. That's a giant husk riding a spider? Yeah, that's also worrying. Well, my tree area does seem to be safe from them, at least for now. Hopefully I can farm in peace. The sun is out, and some of the creatures are burning up in the heat. If I didn't have my spaceship, that would be me. Creepy. Next, I'm gonna make up a new tool, a karma. As my reward, I will get a heart amulet and a heart canister. When combined and worn, it will increase my health ever so slightly. Tiny in the grand scheme of things, but that one heart could be the difference between life and the end of this world. I need more dust, so before the sun reaches its full height, I'm going to do some quick excavation around the outside to gather as much as I can. I will sift it for bone meal so I can grow my tree, but this time I'm going to use my karma to harvest all of the leaves that I can reach. 4 water remain. I can put 8 of the leaves into this barrel that I made, and it'll quickly start to decompose and turn into dirt. Maybe a few more barrels will help speed this along. I mean, there is kind of a ticking clock on life or death here. My reward is a wheat seed, but that is not all it's cracked up to be. Technically, I have a food source, but due to the planet's atmosphere, it cannot really grow by itself. I will make up a watering can, and thankfully I can trade the first one in for a full one. But this is it. I can use my very limited water to help this fella grow. I sure hope it's enough for a loaf of bread. 1 wheat, 2 wheat, 3 wheat. Amazing! Oh my goodness, my reward is 2 purified waters. Also rice, but I don't exactly have any water to plant it in right now. Oh, it feels good to empty my pockets. Okay, so my tools are broken, but because they are Tinker's tools, I can very easily repair them with just a little bit of wood. So now I have a little repetition ahead of me, where I harvest many leaves. Ooh, tool upgrade. I have been blessed with some haste because I have been using this tool for a while. You love to see it. More dirt, more leaves, and more dirt. The reason is simple. Inside of this dirt, I have a chance to find seeds. Mostly stony pebbles, sometimes peanuts, that give 3.5% protein. Oh, of course, because I forgot to mention. I somehow need to find a way to eat a balanced diet on this dry, desolate planet. I really don't want to find out what happens when one of my stats hits 0. From both dust and dirt I get these stone pebbles which I can compress into cobblestone. I also get copper, iron and gold chunks which compress into their ore form. The cobblestone means that I can now make a furnace, and since I have a feeling that this will make my spaceship quite hot, I'm going to force it to live outside. The reward for a furnace is some charcoal. Nice, I guess. So I know for a fact that I am going to need an absolute ton of dust. But don't worry, I have a plan. I am going to need quite a few ladders. Also, I'm going to need a handful of wooden slabs. You see, I noticed when building the perimeter wall that dust has got a tendency to fall down, like sand. So my plan is to dig a big hole in the bottom of my spaceship as deep as my ladders will allow. Then, abusing physics, if I were to break this bottom dust block and then continually place down a slab, every falling block should automatically break. In this world, every action has a very real consequence. Every block broken is one block closer to starvation. It costs me no hunger to place down a block, and I'm sure with a bit of practice I can nail this trick perfectly every time. So that is what I am going to do for a while. I am going to break every block that is underneath my ship and make myself a secret bunker down here away from the creatures, away from the heat. I will see you soon with a pocket full of dust. Oh, I am out of water. I have got 16 empty bottles and no way to fill them. Well, so I thought. Hiding at the back of my ship, I have got a centrifugal separator and a fluid encapsulator. In my emergency rations, I had this flux capacitor, which I can use to temporarily add some charge to these machines. If I pop some saplings into the separator, it'll use centrifugal force to drive out a tiny bit of water, which I will then push down into an encapsulator below. Now if I supply some charge, I can use it to place that water into some bottles. The issue? This water isn't purified, so it has a small chance to poison me. But as a man without any other options, I'm gonna have to take that risk. Anyways, would you like to take a look at my hole? It's a very big hole. Welcome to the secret forest. 5 blocks wide was the perfect width for growing trees, so I can now harvest in peace. And as part of my previous harvests, I found this silkworm. If I were to let him loose on a leaf, he will start to infest it. If I were to then break this infested leaf, I have a small chance to get some string. However, if I am patient, the worms will start to spread, infesting more and more leaves. That means even more string. So I will be back in a bit to harvest all of this. Okay, I suppose I should explain this plank section of the wall. I have come up with a bit of a silly idea, but it could prove to be pretty useful. So I placed down 28 ladders, right? Meaning that this hole is 28 blocks deep. What if I can convince the creatures to fall in this hole? I kind of need their loot, but I don't really want to fight them for it. Let me see what I can hobble together. Now if I just add a lid, I think I can open the fence gates and the creatures might think that they can reach me and fall into the hole. Yes, there is loot on the floor. This might actually work. Something I can do each night, I guess. Yay! I am a smart boy. I remembered that bone meal can grow wheat, not just saplings. I have bread for days. Food is, at least for now, sorted. Now, I returned to sifting dirt in the hopes of finding a better seed. Potato or carrot would kind of be great. Grass, not exactly useful right now. Oh, an oak acorn. That could be very useful since oak trees spawn a lot more leaves. Beans, onion seed, and a cabbage seed. I think this was on the checklist actually, so I will grow a couple of them using bone meal. It was! And as my reward, I will choose a potato seed. Because potatoes, they can be baked. But my leaf smashing and dirt sifting isn't over. There is an even smaller chance to find a sweet berry, melon, or tomato seed. For now, the basement is fully infested. With my crook in hand, I can hopefully start to harvest bundles upon bundles of string. 82 string. That is perfect. At least for now. I think I will need a lot of it quite soon. I am next going to craft up a rock crushing hammer. Using this on some cobblestone will break it down into gravel. Using it again on gravel will break it into sand. Sand is what I am going to use to make some glass to try and improve the creature dropper farm thing that I made. I will replace the upper dust with some planks and the bottom dust will be glass. The idea being that if the creatures can see me, they may have more chance of falling in my hole, as right now only a few of them are tempted. I'm also going to make my wall a little bit higher, because the creatures on spiders still can shoot me as they kind of cheat their way through the slab. It's very scary. But night is coming, so I'm gonna go off and see if I can perfect this creature trap so I can move on with my checklist. Captain Hobble, signing off. There is much to catch up on. It has been quite a day. First, I had a bit of an incident. I had built a lovely and secure wall to keep the creatures out. The world, however, decided that flying spiders, they should exist. I now have a roof on my exterior because it scared the jeebies out of me. It is a blessing though, because I can now run safely along this edge to attract the creatures outside, then hide down here next to my trap. Although it's still no good for spiders. Spiders can climb. Maybe I can invent something with fire or lava later. At the bottom, I have spent some of my limited iron to make some hoppers. Because as you can see, not every creature is affected by the full damage, and it's kinda scary picking up the loot. Overall though, it has been a fairly successful trap. In other news, I have dug even deeper towards the planet's core to harvest even more dust. But as I got deeper, I saw, much like an ogre, that the planet has got layers. Sand, then gravel, then crushed deep slate. The bottom of the world then is covered in obsidian. And again, I have been using the slab trick to break all of the blocks above, conserving my food and water. Though the obvious problem with this is that it now takes an incredible amount of time to reach the surface. I made it to the top. Now before I start sifting my newfound materials, I am due for an upgrade. In order to upgrade my mesh, I am gonna need some flint. Thankfully, I can use this chopping board with some gravel to get as much as I want. That'll give me a flint mesh, I'll upgrade it to iron, and then to gold. However, I'm no longer going to be using this simple sieve, and instead, I am going to upgrade and make myself a compressed sieve. This is essentially going to be 9 times faster, as I can compress my blocks. Not only are my blocks now compressed, because I am using a gold mesh, I'll be able to find even more materials due to how fine the strands of the mesh are. It's these small quality of life upgrades that I am striving for. I found a ton of iron chunks, diamonds, lapis, apatite, and even amethyst shards, plus a whole bunch of other things. Using those diamonds, I can achieve one more layer of fineness in my mesh. Now inside of sand, it looks like I can find quartz crystals and a bunch of ore chunks and nether quartz. And inside of gravel, a small chance of finding diamonds, but more importantly, it'll be a good source of coal. What I'm curious about is dirt. It is slow to make, so what can I find? Seeds, of course. I've got sugarcane, cactus, pumpkin, sweetberry, bamboo, rubberwood, cocoa beans, and beetroot. That is a pretty worthwhile haul. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I made this iron barrel earlier. It is very handy. These upgrades let me store even more items inside. It is very clever. Now some of the creatures have been dropping rotten flesh, some of which I'm gonna smelt down into leather. I'll use some to make some desert shoes, and then I can craft some string into wool, which I will use with the leather to make desert pants, tunic, and cap. In theory, this should provide a little bit more heat resistance, allowing me to cook a little bit slower out in the desert heat. Now my HUD is showing that the outside temperature is soaring, but my body temperature climbs quite slowly. I think I can do better. With 8 leather and some string, I can make some leather insulation. It can be worn under my clothes, and combined with my outfit, I should now have a much better chance of surviving outside. Yay. Moving on, I am going to use my hand axe to remove the bark from some spare oak logs. That bark I can craft into some paper, which I will then turn into a water filter. Now I can run some of that questionable water through it to make it safer to drink. Though right now I am more interested in turning it into a camel pack. When I put some of my water inside of it, I can pop it on my belt, and now I can automatically drink this when I am thirsty. As for purifying questionable water, I'm fine right now with just using a campfire. 12 or so seconds for 4 bottles, it really takes no time at all. Now I'm in a bit of a pickle. I need to head outside to the back of my ship. When I was building the wall, I noticed some clay, and I need that clay. So even though I will be sacrificing some heat resistance, I'm gonna make some armor out of some spare iron that I've got laying around. It's time! Oh my goodness, that was risky. I'll craft 7 clay and bone meal together to make porcelain clay, which I will use to create an unfired crucible. When fired, I can pop it atop a campfire, and now I've unlocked even more technology. Apparently, I can use this as a makeshift smeltery for ores. I'll choose an ingot cast as my reward, and now I just set it up like the smelters back at home. Then after throwing in some raw iron, I can pour the liquid out into the cast to make an ingot. It's a nice proof of concept, but I think I have a much better idea that'll give me a much needed upgrade. I melted down some gold ore, and if I pour that over a pickaxe head, I will make a cast of it. I'll do the same for the adze head, then starting with the pickaxe, I'll pour in some molten iron. Once cooled, I will get an iron pick head. I can then attach that to my current tool, and because it's a direct upgrade, I will get to keep all of those stacks and perks that I unlocked while using the tool. It's more noticeable on the mattock, where I get to keep haste and reinforced. Nice. In my checklist, I can choose between a guided mission through rotational contraptions or a simple route. As an engineer with a complex understanding of rotational forces, I'm gonna choose the simple route. I'll start with crafting cobblestone and quartz together to make andesite, which I will craft with nuggets to make andesite alloy. My diet is failing and I am feeling weak. I really need to remember to eat more bread. While I wait to be hungry, I can make up some casings. I'll craft some shafts, a hand crank, small cogs, large cogs, a millstone, and an extruder. And I guess I'll use water wheels for rotational power. Okay, I have my list. I'm gonna sign off here, and I'm gonna go hobble something together. I'm being watched, aren't I? The heat does strange things to your eyes. I could have sworn the city was closer yesterday. Maybe it's a mirage? Or maybe I am just losing my sense of scale in all of this dust. It's been a while since my last communication. Let's catch up. I did the unthinkable and I went outside. I did it so I could extend the area out here so I have more room to work in. Specifically, I needed some space to work through some rotational power processing. I've got some water wheels, some bulk smelting using some lava I found outside my ship, a mechanical press, a millstone, and a way to automatically generate cobblestone. I did set up the mechanical extruder, but I don't think this is useful just yet. I've also got a very simple farm. It grows very slowly in this environment, but due to the automated nature of it, I don't think that matters too much. I've been experimenting with this cooking pot I made, and so far I've used it to make tomato sauce, which when combined with pasta, which is just chopped dough, it makes pasta with tomato sauce. Can you believe it? This will give me both grains and vegetables for my diet. I'll have to look into some more diverse foods to keep all of my stats up. Finally, I made a backpack so I can bring all the foods and tools with me wherever I go. Oh, and I did plant those seeds I found earlier. Now, I've been stressed about water recently, as my power reserves have been dwindling. I believe, though, I have found a solution. I'm gonna need some leaves first of all. Those can then go into this hopper feeding into a crucible. That slowly melts the leaves down into water that can poison me, but I can campfire cook that into purified water nice and easy. But I cannot live on this planet forever. I need to make it to the city. I need to see if there is anyone there who can help. The city is so far away though, so maybe I can first head to a much closer building. Maybe salvage some supplies, and maybe just see if anyone has survived. I need to prepare. I'm going to bring my armor with me, but I'm not going to wear it just yet because I do need to conserve water, and my desert clothes will help with that. I need to make sure my camel pack is full to the brim, and in the morning, my adventure will begin. Wish me luck. I set off on my journey. The heat of the desert hitting me not only from above, but from the dust below as well. It feels like my feet are on fire, but I must push on. It seems to be some kind of farmhouse, or well, it was. Something happened here, but I won't dwell on it. I am gonna loot what I can and get back before either I run out of water or I run out of daylight. That trip was invaluable. It used up more than half of my water supply, meaning that for a trip to the city, I'm gonna need to bring a lot more water with me. It's gonna take some time to fill them all, but it is gonna be worth the investment. As for the loot I got from the farmhouse, it was pretty much just seeds, all of which I already had a bunch of. But that is not what I went for anyway. It was a test of endurance and I nearly failed. But in the morning, I will head for the city. I will find help. I will survive or I will die trying. Oh no, those creatures are massive! Maybe there's someone in here? Oh my goodness, sir, I don't want to fight you. I'm just looking for some help. There's nothing here. No equipment. No survivors. What happened on this planet? Oh, no. I think it's getting dark. I got too greedy and now I may pay the ultimate price. I made it back. Barely. The run home it was a blur of adrenaline and teeth. I got greedy. I stayed too long looking for a face that wasn't there, and the planet almost claimed me. I went to that city looking for a rescue. I expected voices or radio static or anything that could help, but there's nothing. Just empty streets and the things that inherited them. It's one thing to feel alone in a crash site, it's another to feel alone in a place built for thousands. The city isn't a refuge, it's just a larger graveyard. I didn't come back empty-handed though. I managed to scavenge some supplies that might actually give me a fighting chance. Debris scraps, failed PCBs, a whole bunch of plastic scraps. And there was one discovery though that felt like finding a relic from another life. I stumbled across an old tinker smeltery. It was in a room filled with giant piglin brutes. Due to their size though, it was easy enough to hit them through an open window to clear them out. It's a start, but it's not a ship, and it is not a way home. I think I need to go and figure out my next steps. I'll talk to you later. I've gathered my thoughts. I did a little bit of decorating while I was offline, and it made me feel a whole lot better. I even discovered a new type of glass. It's made this area look a lot nicer, I think. It's a lot less depressing. So my first plan involves the use of TNT. Nothing too extreme, I just want to blow up some iron. Ah, oh no! Disaster averted. Blowing up the iron gave me some compressed iron. Ignore the hole, I will fix that later, I promise. I'll use that iron to make some pressure tubes, then some reinforced stone, reinforced bricks, an air compressor, pressure chamber walls, pressure chamber interfaces, a pressure chamber valve, and a pressure chamber glass. And then I just build a simple 3x3 cube. And that is my brand new pressure chamber. I'll connect up the air compressor, which is going to use some of my coal to start filling the chamber up with air. A chest as my output and a hopper for my input. I just need to be careful not to go higher than 5 bars of compression, or boom. Now I need to pivot over to making a tinker smeltery of my own. I'll use some seared bricks, which I got from crushing down some of the crushed blocks from that building, to make a seared tank. Now there is a limited amount of seared bricks, so I am going to spend them wisely. Success! Albeit a little bit small. I have been keeping up with lava generation for this exact moment. Fill up the tank and I am ready to smelt. Specifically, I am looking to smelt down the plastic scraps. Okay, I am going to make it 1 layer taller and I'm going to pop in a drain. Now much like the crucible earlier, using an ingot cast I can pour out plastic for cooling. Plastic sheets, you love to see it. A quick side tangent to deal with an enderman before he deals with me. Ooh, an ender pill, nice. A lever on the side and now it's gonna auto pour. Only really useful if I set up an auto shoot to feed in the plastic scraps for continued melting, which is fine because this is literally their only use. With plastic sheets, I can pivot back over to pressure crafting. I'll feed in paste, copper nuggets and some plastic. That's in. Now I just need some pressure. That is some capacitors. Plastic, redstone and nuggets. That's some transistors. Plastic, redstone torches and nuggets. My first of many empty PCBs. Nice. I'll grab a failed PCB from earlier and I'll use that to make a PCB blueprint. Oh, and as a reward for my plastic, I get a glowstone block. Perfect. That's because I need to make a redstone lamp and finally a UV light box. Plonk. Then I gave it some pressure and some hoppers and it's ready to work. This is gonna increase my success chance of etching these boards. My next step. After a quick water refill. I really should see if there are any upgrades for this. So for etching, I'm gonna need obsidian. Yeah, I'm not climbing that ladder again. Instead, I'll put lava in a stone barrel and use water on it. Glass panes, reinforced brick slabs, reinforced brick walls, iron bars, small fluid tank. Etching tank, yay. On its own, it's kind of useless. So I'll pressure craft some molten plastic, rotten flesh, spider eyes, and gunpowder together, and that's some etching acid. Into the tank and it is ready to work. I'll pop in the UV exposed to PCBs, and over time it is gonna etch into an unassembled PCB. Perfect. Using the capacitors and transistors from earlier, I can craft a finished PCB, the first of very many. And that's because I need to set up an assembly line. Cannon barrels, pneumatic cylinders, and using a finished PCB I can at least make the assembly platform, laser, and importer. And now I need to sign off for a little bit and wait for a few more PCBs to process. After the disappointment of an abandoned city, I must admit I felt a little depressed and alone. Not anymore. I have a new purpose. To use this planet as a playground for all of my technological advancements. If I can work hard enough, I'm not gonna need a rescue. I will be the hero of my own story. Captain's log. I have created an assembly line. All I am missing is the assembly instructions. Thankfully, I get one as a reward for completing that task. I can pop that into the controller. Oh, and I did go and make some speed upgrades. It's sugar and lapis, and I have an abundance of both. I can now skip out the UV light box and etching tank, and instead assemble unassembled PCBs. But that made sense in my head. You love to see it. All I have to do is bulk craft some of the other components and I am sorted. Up next, I am going to craft a gas lift and a handful of drill pipes. I'll need a new air compressor and another small fluid tank. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade my pickaxe to diamond, as I now need to break a bunch of obsidian to look for black gold. All the way down here. Nothing. I guess I am mining then. Finally! The gas lift goes here, add in the pipes, hook it up to some compression, and it'll suck up all of that crude oil. Oh, is that it? Oh, this spot is so much better. Add it to my tank, and I think I am ready to head back to the surface. Back on the ship, I'll make a refinery controller and 4 refinery outputs. Controller on the bottom, outputs on top. Crude oil inside, and I'll heat up the controller with some lava since that's going to be the easiest. It is now going to process that crude oil into diesel, kerosene, gasoline, and LPG. I'm pretty sure that all I care about right now is the LPG. While it processes, I will need to keep replacing the cooled lava with some fresh piping hot lava. After some time, I can pull out a bucket of each, and now I get to craft my favorite machine to pronounce, the thermo-pneumatic processing plant. This also needs heat, so I'm just going to share the lava with the refinery. Coal goes in along with LPG, and that will process into molten plastic. And while I could set up an efficient cooling system for this plastic, I'm not going to. I have still got a ton of plastic left over from the city, and I am sure there's going to be more waiting for me at my next point of interest. There is a few bits left on my checklist, so I'm going to blast through all of those real quick. A charging station, an air canister, a pneumatic wrench, a GPS tool, an air cannon. I'll turn 20 pressure chamber valves into some advanced pressure tubes. I'll upgrade an air compressor into an advanced version. I'll make a pressure gauge and turn it into a pressure gauge module. And finally, that is all of my under pressure tasks complete. That feels fantastic. And I remember back home there were talks of the pneumatic armor being pretty good. So maybe I'll look into making some of that soon. It could be fun. I can't believe that I am saying this considering the brutal survival difficulty on this planet. But I'm actually hopeful. Hopeful that I'll be able to escape. Until then, I'm going to keep plodding along with my checklist. Maybe find some other ways to have fun. Captain Hobble, signing off. I have a new tool and a new little outhouse here. If I head right the way to the bottom, facing away from my ship, I can use this tool to break a whole lot of these blocks in one go. Would a drill contraption be faster? Sure. Would the slab method be quicker? Oh, most definitely. But both of those options would not be nearly as fun as doing this. So I am going to spend some time doing it and try to build up my ore stockpiles just a little bit more. I'll see you back at the ship. I'm back, and I have been a little busy. I have now extended out my grassy area to its final size, and I have made the walls all pretty using deep slate. And the deep slate, I've been getting that from the extruder. I've also been experimenting with these conduits. It's a very compact way to move things around. They're very good, but a little bit finicky. It's been especially useful for stockpiling lava and water. I have also had a good sort through on the ship, and I've tidied up my chests. Doing all of that busy work, it gave me a chance to have a think about how I want to proceed. Rescue isn't coming, so I've made myself a vision board. Starting on the left, I would like to work out how to make netherrack, endstone, and soul sand. I need to explore the planet in search of a power station, a research station, and a foundry. However, I can't tackle the exploration until I boost my survivability. I'd also like to develop a source of power and get myself a good suit of armor. Then finally, I would like to start terraforming this planet to see if I can bring a small part of it back to life. That is going to need a whole lot of dirt, so I'm going to need to invent a leaf farm. That's not everything, but it's a start. I think I'm going to start though with boosting my survivability. I have been growing and chopping some rubber wood trees, and the logs I will pop into the bulk smelter. That cooks into rubber, which goes back onto the smelter to cure it. This is the base ingredient for making better insulation. It's used to make insulated hydraulic fabric. I'll use that to make things like filtration pockets. Then I'll run out of cured rubber, so I need to farm more trees. And only then can I craft an advanced camel pack, then upgrade it to a still suit. This is 50 times better than my current installation. Though I am not done yet, as I'll likely want to make a second advanced camel pack, but I'm going to sort that later. There is more stuff that I can tick off on this vision board, like making a suit of armor, leather boots, helmet, chestplate and leggings, upgraded to compressed boots, helmet, chestplate and leggings. I'll need 22 air canisters, which I'll use to upgrade to pneumatic boots, chestplate, helmet and leggings. Now I'll need to pop each of them into the charging station and try and load them up with a bunch of air pressure. While they charge, I'm going to look into what upgrades I can craft. Okay, so the basic compressor wasn't cutting it, so I am now using the advanced one. It absolutely guzzles charcoal though, because I am not dealing with the heat just yet. I kinda just break and replace it when it gets too hot. As for armor upgrades, all 4 pieces have got 4 armor upgrades and 10 speed upgrades inside. I've also got jet boots 1, a magnet, and coordinate and entity tracker upgrades. I did go ahead and make a spear advanced camel pack. It's incredible, but very slow to fill. Everything else on my list requires me to go outside, except my making column. So I've got a barrel with witch water in that I'll use some sand on. That is soul sand. The witch water is made by having mycelium underneath the barrel and filling that barrel with water. I was kind of expecting the mycelium to spread. It did not, so 1 barrel it is for now. If I sift the soul sand, I get quartz. That's not what I'm after at all. If I make 9 so I can compress it, I get a single piece of glowstone. Wow. Well, at least that means I can make 1 piece of endstone, but it's not an ideal amount given the effort. Finally, witch water plus lava gives me netherrack. I guess I'm probably going to need to automate this at some point. Crushed and sieved, I got a gold nugget and nothing. Sad times. There is definitely automation in my future. I just need a way to generate power. That does bring me over to finally crafting up some alloys though. I can make up some electrum blend and invar blend, which happily smelts into their ingot form. I will use the invar and some finished PCBs to make a ton of machine frames, and that's about as far as I can go. In the morning, I'll head out and follow this map that I found in the city. Hopefully it leads me somewhere useful. And hopefully the armor is good because there isn't any redos here. I either survive or that's the end. I'm geared up, nervous, but hopeful. Back home, this armor was touted at being incredible, but I don't think the engineers at home had a hostile environment just like this planet in mind when they were designing it. So I'm gonna sprint. Speed past the city that devastated my hopes and dreams, and into the desert heat, heading towards an X on the map that could be anything from a trap to salvation. I see it! Smaller than I thought it would be, but maybe that's a good thing. I'm going to enable some of my upgrades, reduce my speed a little, and I'm going to try and sneak into this building in search of something that could help. It's overrun, of course it is. I guess I will need to fight my way through, room by room, and loot everything I can along the way. Oh my goodness, I think that was a charged creeper that just dropped on my head! How am I alive? 20 minutes ago, that would have destroyed me. This armor is incredible. Oh, there's holes in the ceiling. Good to know. Inscriber plates? Perfect. Crashed ME drives? Perfect. Being surrounded by mad scientists? Perfect. Corrupted aliens shooting laser bolts at me? Buddy, stop, please. Ah, no, not again. Stop doing that, please! Corrupted computer controller, absolutely perfect. It's a thunderstorm, it's nighttime, but this trip home is a lot less stressful than the last one. I had survived my first real adventure. There were a few close calls, but I survived. I just need to repressurize my armor, and I am ready for adventure number 2. The loot was pretty decent. I managed to get everything I think I need to get started with digital storage. But for that, I'm gonna need power. Also, a seared stone slimewood war pick. I have no idea what this is. My new favorite food is a PB&J. You get loads of peanuts from looting, and it's pretty dang good. Lastly, I put some basic enchants on the armor. Probably gonna re-roll them later though if I get some more experience. Adventure number 2 begins, this time to a radio tower looking place. It seems to be some kind of military outpost. I suppose this would have been built as humanity's last hope against the hordes that decimated this planet. I am going to bring as much of this barbed wire home as possible. I am in need of something to finally deal with the spiders. Other than that, plus the hordes of ex-employees, this place was pretty empty of anything that could help me. I spent some time looting the barrels, but honestly, I'm kinda ready for adventure number 3. I did learn that I can break loot crates though without having to open them first. So that is some real easy loot farming. So building on that idea, I spent my limited netherite upgrading this backpack and added a pickup upgrade. Now everything I pick up will automatically go into the quack quack. Let the looting spree begin. Is this a power plant? Oh, I hope it's a power plant. Oops. Yeah, that's enough of that building. There's no power station, but I did find a foundry. I'll be back when it's time for the final big adventure to seek out that power station. After a quick pit stop at home, I am ready for my final adventure. I am not here for loot boxes this time. I am here for tangible goods that will help me build my own reactor. It was tough to get in. Some creatures disguised themselves as furniture. I was affected by darkness and targeted by baby-charged creepers. Poisoned by mad scientists multiple times. And a lot of the creatures were giant. After being harassed by flying green aliens, I finally fought my way into the core to harvest all of the components I needed. Graphite blocks, fuel rods, ports and controllers. Everything. In the adjoining room, I found a dilapidated turbine filled to the brim with electrum blocks and components I could use to make my own turbine if needed. And it wasn't my spirit that broke this time, it was my tools. What I had gathered would have to be enough. I'm sure I can make it work. I made it home. That was a stressful but mostly fruitful adventure. First, I did a bit of rotational engineering and I've got down some mechanical crafters and some crushing wheels. Right now, it is crushing compressed gravel because I need a bit of sand later. It is also great for making crushed deep slate. Over in the auto farm, I am trying out sweet berries. Mostly because I am very tired of farming leaves for water, and it turns out sweet berries are actually much better for it. I'll probably set up a dedicated farm for them later. Inside the ship, I have now upgraded to my final storage system before I go and digitize it. That's because I remembered the crafting upgrade existed, meaning I can craft from within this chest. It's great. The final change I made was installing the barbed wire that I stole from that outpost as a way to stop the spiders from lingering around on my walls. It is very effective. Anywho, today I'm going to start off by making a Stirling dynamo. I am going to use this to make a little power so I can get into some bigger power. Next, I will use some crashed reactor frames and graphite to make a proper reactor frame. That lets me craft up a power tap and for now a single piece of reactor glass. That is why I'm making sand. Oh, that's interesting. I need to pivot over to making my first pieces of uranium. I've got 30 uranium clumps from sifting the crushed deep slate. I'm gonna first need a metallurgic infuser. That is for redstone and finished PCBs, which will infuse into basic control circuits. I'll use some to make a crusher, and this is gonna crush my clumps into dirty uranium dust. I am gonna need an enrichment chamber, which will then enrich that into uranium dust. Finally, that'll be smelted into an ingot. I sure do hope that I don't need to automate all of that. That was quite a task. At least now I can make myself a reactor terminal. Thankfully, I am rewarded some uranium ingots. I'm gonna need to feed this into the reactor, which I guess is now my next steps. Building the reactor. This should be interesting. Well, that was a success, other than a few overlay glitches on the replay. Feed in the uranium with a hopper, and I guess I should find out how much power I can expect to produce. 8,000, that's actually pretty good, considering I only have some small scale automation to do. The waste is cyanite ingots, and I am gonna need a few. I may as well charge up this power cube while I wait. Also, I'm gonna need a cyanite reprocessor. 2 cyanite in, along with some water, and it is reprocessed into plutonium. I just need to do this one more time. Nice. I'll craft up some turbine casings, though I'm not going to be making a turbine. But I do need a turbine terminal to complete my checklist. I'm finally at the point where I can move on to setting up some digital storage. I'll need to start with a charger, which I will use to charge up my Certus crystals. I'll throw them into a puddle with redstone and quartz, and that is Fluix crystals. Now I'm gonna need to crush down some of those crashed ME drives that I picked up during that drop sneaker attack. 6 engineering processors. Well, I can't say that I'm not disappointed, but I will make it work. I can also throw in the Crash computer controllers after saving a few, and I get 13 logic and 17 engineering. That is a bit more reassuring. I'll craft an ME controller, then some quartz fibers, glass cable, and finally an ME drive. I just need somewhere to install all of this. Controller here, and now I just need to run some power cables over. Beautiful! Drive here, and while I did find an ME terminal, I'm gonna have to go through some effort now to upgrade it to a crafting version. That'll be so worth it though. Sticky pistons, inscriber, smelt Certus dust to silicon, make printed silicon, printed calculation circuits, and now one finished PCB will break into 4 PCB segments, which I'll use to make calculation processors. That's 1 finished PCB for every 4 processors. I could cry, but I won't. I'm having a blast. That's everything for the crafting terminal. By itself, completely useless. I'm gonna need a storage bus. That's the annihilation cores and formation cores, the ME interface, and the storage bus. I will connect this to my mega storage box, and now I have a much better system than what I was using in this chest. And that is because I can link a ton of storages together, like this one. I also have the option of making storage components. I'm gonna go to 4K for now because of how much it costs. I can turn it into a cell and pop it into the ME drive. This is a massive step forward in technology. It is going to improve my quality of life so much. I am so happy. I'll spend the time on making the other type of processors, keeping in mind though that the overall price of finished PCBs. A 16K item cell as a reward here. Yes please, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh boy. I need a bucket of blazing blood. Yeah, I'm not going to be playing with blazes, so I'm just going to melt down 20 blaze rods instead and make a bucket my way. And after some microcrafting, that is this chapter of my survival list completed. It's very exciting. However, my next chapter is an absolute doozy, needing a dozen or so machines. So many I may just speed my way through it because I actually only need like 2 or 3 of them. Let me see what I can hobble together. Here's what I hobble together. It's not much because I have come to a realization. I am going to need a lot more plastic to make the PCBs, and I am fed up of the refinery. I did go and set up that cooling system to get 2 instead of 1, but it is still very slow overall. So instead, I am going to raid a different city than the one that I first visited so long ago. The creatures are honestly no match for me anymore, and there's a ton of plastic scraps hidden in all of the cupboards, among other things. Even the desks. Plus, I do get to have some exercise, which is always welcome. Oh boy, was that fun and extremely lucrative. There is no way I would have gotten this much just by babysitting the refinery. Pink slime. Of course. Let me just speed through some crafts before I worry about that. Dissolution chamber, 2 gold gears, 1 saw blade, that's a plant gatherer, 1 plant sower, a propeller, 2 gold gears, and that is the mob's laughter factory, 1 brass hand, and that is the animal rancher, 1 animal feeder, And I think that is all so far. I'm gonna need a simple machine frame which needs molten plastic. Thankfully, really shouldn't be an issue right now. The same for a range add-on as well. 2 redstone, 2 glass panes and 4 emeralds. Tier 12 range add-on. If I pop the mob laughter factory at the front door and supply it with some power, the range of this machine is now huge, meaning it'll process even more creatures that walk into it. I think that makes it more efficient. I'll need 2 tanks, 1 for liquid meat and 1 for pink slime. I'll make up a simple machine frame while I wait, which I will then use to make the plant fertilizer. Nice! Zombie is there, and zombie is gone and has been processed. Awesome. Gooey! Everybody come and catch me! I have a treat for you over by this machine. I just stole that spider from right underneath that creeper. Brilliant. Sweet! 1 bucket of pink slime. And that is an advanced machine frame. 1 mob crusher. And I'm not really sure where I'm going to set this up just yet. I'll need a pulverizer, a sewer composter, a mob duplicator, and the corresponding capture tool. What? The reward is a supreme machine frame and an enderman in a capture tool. That is so silly. I'll need a sludge refiner, a blast chiller. Oh dear, the phytogenic insulator needs glowstone elevation units, which are made from energized glowstone, also signalum and lumium. I think I'm gonna do that one later when I have the induction smelter. 1000 bottles of enchanting, pink slime, and fertilizer. That is what I like to call an excessive to-do list. I guess I need to hobble together a few more systems and then tinker around with them. I will see you in the next log. Captain Hobble signing off for today. I spent the best part of my day today focusing on my work. In doing so, I realized something awesome. Originally, I have been getting glowstone from soul sand, which has no simple automation. However, I can also get it from netherrack, which does have super simple automation. So over here, I use destabilized redstone to make netherrack and molten ender to make endstone. Oh, it's very good. Then over here, I have semi-automated myself a way to create dirt, using biofuel, which I made from potatoes. Then with some sand, they get infused together to make my lovely dirt. I am gonna need like 100,000 of the stuff, because of course my final goal on my vision board is to terraform the planet. But at least I no longer need a leaf farm. Over here, I have got my 2 cows that I got as a reward a little while ago. They are stood on top of a sewer, which is how I'm then making fertilizer. This stuff is great because it is basically bone meal, which means my planet transformation will be so much easier. As for this pink slime task, I've set up my mob laughter factory at the back here, which gives me an insane amount of liquid meat. Instead of voiding it, I am sending it around to the mechanical dirt that I made earlier to make a creature spawn room. If I hook that slime up to the dissolution chamber, it'll combine with the glass pane to make the slime ball. I just need 10 times the amount that I currently have. No worries, there is always plenty to be getting on with. As for the bottles of enchanting, for now I have dumped the mob crusher out the front, but I'm going to swap it over with the pink slime fella once that is done. It will need liquid meat to run the mechanical dirt though, so I guess I better stockpile some of that now. I also need to keep on top of making the biofuel. It's always a busy day on a desolate planet. Anywho, with that infinite netherrack, I got the glowstone required to make the elevation units. That is now everything to make a phytogenic insulator, which, to be really honest with you, I kind of have no uses for it. It needs a source of water being constantly pumped in, and I just don't feel like setting that up with rotational mechanics. I mean, I would craft an aqueous accumulator, but it costs 2 of the max tier storage components, which is an insane amount of plastic and time. There's no reason for it to be so expensive, because a simple sweet berry farm could perform just as well. Now, I do have a handful of unassembled PCBs ready to make, so maybe, if I have enough left over, before I leave, I will craft that accumulator. It's really just the capacitors and transistors that take the effort to create. I can make 41 finished PCBs. more effort required. Though I do have just over 100 of them in total, maybe I can get away with not making any more. Dirt is more important to me right now. So I'm gonna make some more sand, more biofuel, and dive right into making this desolate planet a little bit more livable. Okay, so I still don't have enough dirt, but I do now have enough pink slime to be able to send those to my task list. Just the bottles remain, but I have been waiting for so long that this might just be enough essence to make them all. There's also no secondary ingredient, so it's just gonna keep running until I run out of essence. So, I found myself this crafting calculator, and I taught it the recipe for making the aqueous accumulator. In total, it would need 183 plastic, 1000 redstone, 600 Certus quartz, or 61 finished PCBs overall, as well as 162 printed logic circuits and 80 calculation. So that is what I have been working on while I waited. It's insane, but I kind of love how rough this recipe is. I need 162 1K storage components, I'll need 54 4K components, 18 16K components, 6 64K components, and finally 2 of the 256K components. And the most expensive aqueous accumulator I've ever had the pleasure of crafting. It still gives water that you then need to purify, so I don't understand why it's locked so far in your future. It is the most over-engineered bucket in the galaxy. Moving on, that's definitely more than 1000 bottles of enchanting. That is another task completed. In fact, that's a whole other chapter completed. Perfect. Now, if I were to craft myself a rover, my reward is some fuel for it. Okay, I'll admit it, this feels absolutely incredible. If I had made this earlier, this would have been perfect for exploring the world. It is so much fun. Oh wait, I missed a task in basic survival. I need a shell constructor. Well, that was easy enough. And a shell storage. I have no idea what this does, but that's fine, it's fine. I'll need a launch pad, plonk. Also a rocket, but I'm gonna need to make some more steel for that. But once I have that, I will finally be able to leave this planet and find my way home. Before I go, I need to swap this dusty environment for something a little bit more green. Let me see what I can hobble together. Captain's log. Things are looking awesome now. Sadly, my replay drone failed, probably because I used the exchanging gadget. So here is a snippet of me planting saplings, and here is me growing some grass. I absolutely did run out of dip because the silly simple system I made could definitely not keep up. So I upgraded to a guaranteed 100% fully automated version. I have got 3 phytogenic insulators growing potatoes because I thought that was going to be my bottleneck. Oh, it's not. It's sand, where I am making cobble with an igneous extruder and then pulverize it twice. I mean, it's still very fast, which meant I could transform my local area into something beautiful. I also spent some time tidying up indoors. I removed a few machines that I didn't need anymore, and it just made things flow a whole lot nicer. I added a little ditch over here to make the floor seem less flat. It serves no purpose other than catching your eye. As for outside, it is a whole lot more cozy and safe than the crash site that I first experienced. It is so tranquil and rewarding. I could stay here forever, but I really must be getting home. I'm first gonna craft some animal eggs up and release them into the wild. Every planet does need animals to contribute to the ecosphere, of course. And now, it is time to leave this place. Be sure to make sure you're subscribed. Check out the playlist for other mod packs I have beaten like this. It is absolutely perfect for your binge watching. Mother, I'm coming home. Maybe there is someone there. Maybe there's someone who lives there who can help me. Maybe there is someone who lives there that can help me get my ship airborne once again. So I think I'll use some planks and sticks to make a small batch of patrol. I think I can open the fence gates. I can start to harvest hopefully bundles upon I can hopefully start to harvest bundles upon bundles of string. I'm next gonna craft up a rock crushing hammer. I am next gonna craft up a rock crushing hammer. I now have a roof on my exterior because it scared the jabibis. It is these small quality of life upgrades that I am striving for. It's these small quality of life changes that I am upgrading for. What? It's these small quality of life upgrades that I am striving for. And now I just set it up like the back of, and now I just set it up like this. And now I just set it up like the smelt. And now I just set it up like the smelters back at home. While it processes, I'll need to periodically replace the cooldown lava with some fresh piping hot stuff. I ran out of it. I'll turn 20 pressure chamber valves into an advanced pressure tube. I have been growing and chopping some rubber wood trees. Right now it is crushing compression. Right now it is crushing compressed as a way to stop the spiders from lingering around on my walls. I need to pivot over to first making my first pieces of uranium, and there is a ton of plastic scrap hidden in all of the cupboards. There is no way that I wouldn't have got, which is how I am then making fertilizer. How do you say fertilizer? That's how. Which is how I am then making fertilizer.